Virtual teams have become a fact of business life. So how do you make them work effectively? And in this video, I'm actually going to share with you 6 principles on how to make virtual teams work. If you have virtual teams, I promise you probably have virtual projects, so stay tuned to the end because I have something really cool to share with you that's going to help both of those groups. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. Subscribe to the channel for the best career and project management advice coming to you every Wednesday. So if you're excited about knowing how to make virtual teams work, then let's get to it. Communication. All right, this is probably one of the biggest challenges all remote teams have, is the communication. How do we get that same benefit when we were in the office outside of the office? It's really difficult because in the office we had the hallway conversations. We could drop by someone's office just to ask them a question. Even those pre and post meeting conversations were extremely valuable. Now, what can you do? Well, my biggest recommendation for virtual teams is over communicate. So how do you do this? Well, you want to keep everyone in the loop. That becomes really important. So you want to use things like electronic newsletters, electronic announcements. You may want to have some private groups that you can post stuff to. Again, maybe even if you have social media channels where you're sharing company news, you want to do that too. Get everyone let them know that there's multiple places they can get information from, but that's going to become really important. Another thing you also want to consider too when it comes to communication is to provide a central location for information. And this is where there's some great programs out there, like Teams that you can have for specific projects, so it's one-stop shop, SharePoint sites, even Google Project sites. Another program that I really like to do when it comes to communicating is my OneNote. Great place to create my agendas, any meeting minutes, and the nice thing is everyone has access to it, so they can go to it as well. You also want to consider perhaps maybe having a little more one-on-one meetings. As I said earlier, you don't have the luxury of just dropping by someone's office. So schedule that in too with specific people to ensure that you are communicating. And let's say we can even start using our text a little bit more. We can look at Slack, things of those nature, just to help with the instant communication, the instant messaging that a lot of organizations do have within their software programs. Technology. This becomes really important with virtual teams. Your teams have to have the right technology at their fingertips. That means that they need to have really good devices that should be fast and have good cameras. And I'll get into that tip, I'll get into why that's so important on the next tip. You also need to ensure that your teams have the proper programs that you need for them to be sharing that information. Now, another thing I always recommend too is 2 monitors for really whether you're virtual or at the office. I don't know how you cannot live without 2 monitors, but with virtual teams, it becomes even more important. You're now on virtual meetings and you are seeing everybody on the screen. You have that virtual call up, but you may need to, as either a presenter or even as a participant, pull up some additional information. And having 2 screens is helpful because you can use a secondary screen to pull up any type of information you need as you're in that meeting and you have the visibility of everybody else on one and your information on the other. Something else to consider too is when we're working remotely, we tend to be working from home. And we're going to ensure that your team has better IT access support, particularly when everybody is working remotely. And something too that people don't consider is in the remote work home reality that where a lot of us are in right now, you got to think about personal Wi-Fi connectivity. At work, it may be awesome, but at home, it may not be. So this is where we may have to do the old-fashioned route and actually get an Ethernet cable and plug into your home router. This can actually save a lot of technical issues. So something that for sure remote teams should be talking about and ensuring that they have all those proper tools. Keep the face-to-face communication. This can be a challenge. And the reason why it can be a challenge is virtually, when people are meeting, and I see this all the time, people don't have their video on. And when you think about it, do you ever go into a live meeting, everyone gathers, and then all of a sudden someone turns off all the lights so you can't see people's face or their expression? Of course not. It's the most silliest thing if you were to do that live. Yet we do the exact same thing when it comes to our virtual meetings. So I have a golden rule: video must be on. There's a couple of reasons for that. We are social creatures. So being able to see the other people in your meeting has a huge positive impact. There's just a connectivity to it. Not only that, the person who's presenting information, or even the facilitator of the meeting, when you don't see people's faces, you don't see people's expressions. So as you're talking, you kind of feel like you're talking into a void. And that in itself, psychologically, has a very weird feeling to it and can throw you off kilter on what you're trying to do conversation-wise. So face-to-face communication is important. Make sure that everyone has good, solid cameras. And as I said before with technology, plugging into your router with an Ethernet cable to your computer can solve a lot of those technical issues that I'm told, sorry, I can't have my video on, my internet's not good. You know what? Let's throw those excuses out the door. Even if you were to have the video on when the person's talking, has a positive impact too. Look, it is just part of our communication is body language, and we can see it. Now, cool thing too, it also keeps people accountable because you now can see whether or not they're doing other work during that meeting, which again is a big no-no. But face-to-face communication, video on, is important. Now, when you're in your video, here's a little hint and side note to help with remote teams, and that is you want to make sure you aren't interrupted. So you can put these on your doorknob at home. Teach your family members or whoever is there not to interrupt you, and it makes a huge difference when you are face-to-face because you're not having that distraction around you either. Appreciation matters. Everyone feels so good when they are acknowledged for the great work that they do, and this is even more important in a virtual team. Just because you can't see people working doesn't mean they're not doing a good job. So really take the extra mile and acknowledge the great work people are doing. Do a shout out at a meeting. You can even send an email, a text, or at the end of the meeting, you can even do an appreciation exercise. Check out my appreciation exercise that I do virtually. It is a beautiful way just to keep connected to everyone. Again, you don't have that option of being in the office and being able to see people do work. So ensure that you make appreciation a top priority. A shared vision. Aligning people on a common goal can be difficult on any given day, but even more so with virtual teams. You have everyone who's working siloed in their own little world, which is usually their home office, and it becomes even more critical to make virtual teams work by ensuring everyone is very clear what the bigger picture is, that shared vision, the goals, that they're doing what they're doing, even though they're all doing it separately and really alone in their home office. So really incorporate a lot more often than you probably normally would have if you were in a live setting at the office, what the company vision statement is. Bring that up over and over. It's going to inspire your team and really connect them to why they do what they do. And if you're working on projects, that same aspect is transferable if you use the project scope statement. Hey team, let's just remind ourselves once again, why are we together on this project? Right? We have this scope, this vision. It's not just about your tasks and what you're doing and your little bucket of this world that you're living in. There's this greater picture. So sharing a shared vision and the goals becomes really important so that remote teams don't feel so isolated. Now, the cool thing is I help companies all the time create really great, inspiring visual vision statements. So if you want more information on that, check it out underneath the link of this video. Team building. Informal and formal ideas I actually have for you. So why is team building so important when it comes to virtual teams? Well, it strengthens relationships. It provides a connectivity that we just normally wouldn't have naturally in an office setting. So what are some formal team building tips that I can give you? Well, I'm going to give you my favorite exercise that I do all the time. Super simple. 3 truths and 1 lie. In fact, if you check out this video, it gives you all the detailed instructions on how to execute it. But it's a really cool way just to throw in a workshop setting. Perhaps you have some new team members. Maybe you have a large group of people. It's just a really nice way to kind of loosen everybody up and make it fun because we do want to have fun when we're working, and particularly on a virtual setting. Now let's take a look at the informal side, because there are times when we have very well-developed teams who are going to say to you, Adriana, well, I'm not going to say to you, Adriana, you know what I'm talking about. They say, Adriana, you know what? We don't want to do team building activities. We already know each other. What's the point? And I get it. And I get this a lot from senior executives, like, no, do not do team building. So I'm like, that's fine, that's cool. They don't want, what they think are the standard stuff, but there's still something really powerful of doing some sort of team building, just really connecting individuals together. So I do an informal team building activity, which is really asking a question. So how do you do this? First, you have to see what's going on around you. So depending, there could be scenario situations happening, and you want to just sort of, as everyone's coming on the call, wait till everyone arrives and say, hey, for example, let's say right now we're near the holiday season. Let's just say it's cold outside. Maybe you're on the East Coast and it's freezing, and everyone's coming on the call, and you're like, you know what, everyone, my goodness, did you check out the temperature today? If you could be anywhere right now in a snap, where would you be? And that's all of a sudden people are like, oh my goodness, I'd be in the Caribbean, or I'd be doing this, or I'd be doing that. It's just a really nice way to build up the team, really, for people particularly who do not want the official team building activities. Thank you for staying to the end. And as I said to you at the beginning of my video, I have something really important for you, because if you have virtual teams, you probably have virtual projects. Please download this from the link below. It's going to give you all the hints and tips on how to ensure your projects don't fail, which is going to be really important for your virtual team. So please check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and please share it with all your virtual teams. Now, if you have any other additional tips that you'd like to add, please put them in the comments below. Until the next video, see ya.